We walk these days under African sky.
I think that there can be few things more boring than looking at other people's holiday slides. We were once asked by a family to come and look at their holiday slides, and would you believe the father of the house fell asleep in his own slideshow? And now I'm asking you to look at mine. So I will work very hard not to be boring. I think you'll see some things that are really interesting, and maybe we'll get some spiritual insights as well. Wendy and I have been very privileged over the last 15 years since we retired. Kruger offers very good rates to pensioners with caravans, so we've been able to go to Kruger every year for 3.5 weeks, a great privilege. And we've observed some things. Now, for the first 11 years, we camped in our skipper trailer, a fold-out trailer, quite a lot of hard work, but very easy to tow. We even took our grandson Jeremy with us a couple of times for a week, and that was wonderful. Here we are at the Swaziland border. Now we find it much easier to go down the east side of Swaziland. The roads really aren't too bad as long as you know where the speed humps are, because they're not marked and they can knock the heck out of your caravan. But it's the shortest route to Crocodile Bridge. And so we arrived at Crocodile Bridge. You can see we've graduated now to a caravan, and for the second time ever we got under our favorite tree. Remember that the temperature in early May gets up to 32 degrees most days, so you're very grateful for the shade. And so we were content in Crocodile Bridge. But it's not all peaches and ice cream. There are some things in Kruger that really disturb me, and let me get those off my chest right at the beginning. On the road between Skukuza and Lower Sabi, the busiest road in the park, there have been 3 washaways over the past years, one of them 4 years ago, and there is still no sign of those being repaired. That worries me. More seriously, we've noticed a severe drop-off in the number of birds, especially in the campsites, and I've wondered why. And I suspect one of the reasons is the crop sprayers that we see all the time. We once drove too close to one, and the poison got in the car, and our chests were all tight. And there they are, pouring out their poison and killing millions of insects, just so that we can have sugar in our tea. And one night I left the light on outside, which we don't usually do because we don't want to attract insects. And I came out 2 hours later and there wasn't a single insect around that light. And that worries me very much. And so I think the bird numbers are well down. We saw wonderful birds, we'll show you those later, but we had to look quite hard for them. But much more serious, look at this picture of these 2 vultures, lovely picture. Now, in the past, we could get a picture like that every day if we wanted to. This time, this was the only good picture of vultures I got. The numbers were vastly down, and we discovered why. 2 days before we arrived, 208 vultures were found poisoned next to a giraffe carcass. The poachers do it on purpose because when they kill a rhino and elephant, the vultures circle and give away their positions. So they just take a carcass, put a bit of strychnine on it, easy as can be, and they kill the vultures. They laid them out in rows. We didn't see this ourselves, and it's a really tragic sight. And this is the only decent view of a group of vultures that we saw the whole time we were there. And it just made me aware of how evil human beings can be and how we do damage God's world. But you know, it's not only criminals like poachers. This week I was watching the movie Sully about the plane that came down in the Hudson River. It was brought down by a bird strike. Do you know that since that accident, the New York authorities have killed 100,000 Canadian geese, just so that we human beings can do what we want to do. And so in some ways we were not totally content in Crocodile Bridge. And so I've got that off my chest. Of course it's not all bad. 80 of those 208 vultures were actually not dead, and they managed to save them and rehabilitate them. And a friend of mine was there when they released them so that they could fly again and soar in the air as God meant them to. And all those people opening up the cages are volunteers who spent an enormous amount of time saving them. And so there is still good in the world. I love this group of school children in Skukuza, beautifully dressed in their uniforms, beautifully behaved, walking along behind their school teacher that seemed to me to be a really good teacher. And hopefully they were learning about the wild and will grow up to want to protect it. And so we were content in Crocodile Bridge. I love watching the water come over the weir next to the camp. I love the early morning light. I also love the late afternoon light. And the water looked clear and to me pretty clean. And the hippos and crocs were thriving, which means that the fish were thriving. And then in the camp they've cultivated the impala lilies. What magnificent flowers, and it's hard to believe they grow out of the Bushveld earth. And inside there are always tame bushbuck. They'll come and eat out of your hands. I think they've learned that they're safe inside the camp, so you always find them. And as I look at the spots on the bushbuck, and I look at the double colour of the impala lilies, and I look at a sky that is dappled as if it's been done with dabs of a paintbrush, my spirits lift, and I think of the poem by Gerard Manley Hopkins, Glory be to God for dappled things.
I heard them, I